Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma is proud to present The Shasteen Show from London's in downtown Tullahoma. Brought to you by Southern Community Bank, Rogers Insurance Group, and Mission Collision. Now, here are your hosts, Scott Shasteen and Ken Keller.
It is a chilly Monday in southern Middle Tennessee, and we are live at London's for the Shasteen Show. Welcome in. Plenty of room for you here at London's. It's steak night, happy hour, best burgers in town. No better place to be than London's in downtown Tullahoma. Ken Keller, Scott Shasteen tonight. We actually have a lot to talk about.
We sure do.
And we hope to get to it all. Excuse me. But if we don't, we'll get to it next week because we'll be here. Now, we want to tell you in advance that, of course, Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve on Monday, we will not have live shows on those nights. But, excuse me, tune into the Duck and listen to the great Christmas music. Like that Elton John song you heard right before we came on. Ken, thank you for you and Smash holding down the fort last week. Well done.
Well, we missed you, man. We did. We had a good show, though. Smash filled in admirably, as he always does. He did a fine job.
He does. So I think today should be National Admiral Schofield Day. What do you think?
That's admirably. That leads right in. Admiral Schofield, yeah. He went off yesterday, didn't he?
He had an admirable afternoon.
He sure did. Yes, he did.
In the heat of Arizona, Schofield goes for 30. Drops a three-pointer from behind the pro three-point line to win the game.
Yeah.
And the Vols knock off number one Gonzaga. I think 76-73 maybe.
Yeah. Has there ever been a bigger win in Tennessee basketball history?
Well, there has.
I'm blowing it up pretty big, history, but it is big.
Tennessee beat number one Kansas back in 2010. That was huge. The Vols were number one for a week back in I believe it was 2010. So that was huge. But with this Tennessee team and the promise that's been put on it and the makeup of this team, to fall in overtime to the number one team in the nation, Kansas, and then turn around and beat the number one team in the nation, Gonzaga. Tennessee comes in at number 3 this week. Man, they're just really good. They're better than I thought they would be.
Yeah, number 3, and that's so in that game, no LeBron Turner. Okay, he didn't play. Grant Williams fouls out in that game. Kyle Alexander and Jordan Bone combined for only 7 points, and the Vols beat the number one team in America anyway. That's really admirable. But Gonzaga had beaten Duke, I believe, earlier in the season, and everybody said Duke was going to be one of the greatest teams ever, maybe better than that 1976 Indiana team led by Kent Benson and Quinn Buckner, Bobby Knight coach team that went undefeated. So that's one of the best teams in history. UCLA having some good teams, but Duke loaded with young talent. Gonzaga takes him out. Tennessee takes out Gonzaga. They're number 3 in the AP poll today.
Kansas, Duke, Tennessee, Gonzaga, and the hated Michigan Wolverines are the top 5.
And Tennessee's already played Kansas and lost to them in overtime. So who's number 1?
Kansas.
Okay, so they lost in overtime in a game they could have won. And who's second? Duke. Okay, and they haven't played Duke. Duke played Auburn.
I'd say Tennessee's strength of schedule is pretty strong.
You think?
Now.
Yeah, I think Tennessee's strength of schedule is right there, and it's coming really at a good time for Tennessee. The football program, waning a little bit, dropping off. They need to get it going with Jeremy Pruitt, but this is the perfect time for Phil Fulmer and Tennessee, to get that basketball program really. They stole the thunder this weekend, man. Beat the number 1 team yesterday.
You just had to get that football dig.
Well, just a little bit.
Auburn comes in at number 8, Mississippi State 18, Kentucky 19, and that's it for the SEC.
Kentucky 19. Something's wrong there. Their football team's ranked higher than their basketball team. How about that?
I looked through all the teams that got votes and I don't see Alabama anywhere.
Okay, there you go.
Is Avery Johnson
got me back.
Job on the line yet?
Oh, yeah, they blew a game against a weak opponent. Though I can't even remember all the sports action going on. My life's been a haze, man, in the days the last week. But yeah, they got beat at home by on a 3-pointer to a no-name team here in the last 4 or 5 days. And yeah, Avery Johnson, there's been speculation about him maybe bolting for the NBA. Who knows?
Yeah,
it's possible.
Yeah, could be a spot for him. So, but let's begin tonight by talking and finishing up a little high school
let's do that.
Football stuff, because we've had the all-region teams named for Region 4-4A.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, tis the time for postseason awards, and certainly Tullahoma, that 10-3 season, Scott, that we got to call their games on Friday nights this year, an outstanding season by John Olive and his Tullahoma Wildcats, and many Wildcats recognized here in some postseason awards.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can sort of go back and forth and talk about it.
Let's do that.
I love the co-defensive MVP. His name is Ty Cox.
Yeah, number 52, the cowboy collar.
He had a fantastic season,
Oh, man, are you kidding me?
The more I think about what Ty Cox put together with the forced fumbles, interception,
forced safeties, fumble recoveries, interception return for touchdowns.
Now, I don't know who the co-defensive MVP was with him.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it was somebody from Maplewood.
Yeah, probably number 9, that defensive end from Maplewood, I would guess. I don't know, but probably.
They had some great defenders.
They did.
But they didn't have anything on Ty Cox.
No, Ty Cox, I mean, not the biggest guy in the world, but you talk about a motor and a guy that plays relentlessly every single play. One of the leaders of the defense. We talked about, him not really getting player of the games, but he could have got player of the games, any of the games that we picked out. He was probably definitely one of the most consistent players on that Wildcat defense, and a fantastic Wildcat defense this year. Second only in the Region 4-4A, really, to Maplewood in our region for sure.
The specialist, Kobe Burks,
man, prime time. Number 21, Kobe Burks. Very unfortunate that he was injured that last game against Maplewood. You wonder what the outcome would have been, Scott. What was it, 6-2? It seems like ages ago we called that game.
It does seem like ages ago, and it was 6-2, unbelievably.
Yeah. Hey, you got to believe if he's in there that the outcome of that game's different.
And Corn.
Yeah, Bryson Corn, man.
We were missing 2 first-team all-region players.
2 first-team all-region players, and Bryson Corn 1,000 yards plus on the ground. He was just a bell cow running the pigskin between the tackles and on those tall sweeps all year long. Touchdown extraordinaire. He had 15, 16 touchdowns before he had limited production that last game because of a lower extremity injury.
Kicker and punter, Race Marin.
What can you say about Race, man? I mean, just everything. The guy came up with some clutch catches. He kicked the ball well. Interception in that last game from the safety position against Maplewood. He's a gamer. What can you say, man? The guy's kind of like, who's that guy that I'm going to tell you who he reminds me of? Who's that guy that the Arizona Cardinals used to have, that safety that played at Arizona State? He was in the military, great player. Pat Tillman. Pat Tillman, a great American hero, serving his country, lost his life serving valiantly on the front lines. But, Race Marin, he's just a gamer, man. He's got a nose for the football. Wide receiver, safety, kickoff guy, field goals when needed. And from the safety position, just a hard-nosed guy, sticks his nose in there, great player all around.
And Race is very deserving. And trust me, the Marin family is dancing in the living room right now as you compared him to Pat Tillman, who's one of a kind. But, Race didn't kick much.
No, he didn't.
As far as extra points and field goals go.
I think we wore him out in other ways.
Yeah. Absolutely. A little bit misposition, I think. Matt Ross is your first-team all-region tight end, and Matt's a fine tight end. They didn't get the ball to Matt very much offensively. To me, he's a first-team defensive end, but first team's first team.
Smart guy, another guy that just motor ran, just a great athletic player, super smart guy. And he's another guy that he's relentless. His motor's always running. You talk about two bookend defensive ends. Tullahoma had talented guys, Ty Cox on one side, Matt Ross on another. But enjoy watching him over the last 3 years, really right over the middle, catching the football. We called him Gronk several times. The guy's a baller, man. He's just a tough, physical guy, and he didn't drop very many passes. You put it on where he can get his hands on it. He's got a great catch radius, and the guy makes plays.
Yeah, Matt Ross and Race Marin, actually 4-year players, played a lot as freshmen for Tullahoma. And then Bryson Korn, first team all-region running back. There was no question about it. He was the best running back we saw this year. Bryson Korn carried that Wildcat football team in the middle of the year. He really did. You go back and check those stats, some of those middle year games, and he just carried 25, 30 times a game, 150 yards. He was incredible.
Yeah, I think there was just games that Coach Olive and his staff came in and said, look, we're going to win this with our defense and running the football with number 9, Bryson Korn. And he just took over games, running the ball, punishing, knocking people over. He had many highlight film plays this year for the Tullahoma Wildcats.
First team all-region linebacker, Samari Lane. Man, there were some games where it seemed like Samari was everywhere. And there were 2 or 3 where he wasn't on the field. Yeah. But when he was on the field, Samari was as fast. He would get in that offensive backfield so fast. Had a great year.
He's kind of like Rashawn Evans, just a sudden player. The guy shows up, makes big plays. When he's on the field and when he decides to play, Samari Lane, number 26, you're going to see him making tackles for the Wildcats. Go back and watch the games.
And I love this one. Assistant Coach of the Year, Coy Sisk. That defense was so strong, carried that Wildcat team, had incredible numbers compared to where that defense had come from for the last 2 or 3 years. Coy deserves that.
Well, secondary was fantastic. They may have set a record for the Wildcat team in history for the most interceptions, but just 11 guys playing together, pursuing the football, gang tackling. Did not give up a whole lot of big plays this year. Busted coverages, long TD passes. Great job, Coy Sisk and that Tullahoma defense. They were fabulous. After that first game against Shelbyville, man, they played lights out the rest of the season.
What a turnaround, too.
What a turnaround. Yes. Last year we won shootout games, with Nick Barstead at quarterback. We was beating teams 49-42, 42-35. This year, 6-2 we ended the season. Look at that defense.
And then the Coach of the Year, Coach O.
Yeah, congratulations to Coach Olive. Just a fantastic job, all season long. There were games, I picked them 7-3 before the season. They ended up 8-2. Then they win 2 playoff games. 2 of their 3 losses were to Maplewood, and nothing to hang your head about. A fantastic season. Great job, Coach Olive and the Tullahoma Wildcat coaching staff. And Scott, I really appreciate the times that I had with you in the press box. You and Smash both this year, and Mr. Houston. In the team working together, calling the games. It was so much fun. I don't know what to do on Friday nights no more, man.
You'll find something like sleep.
There you go.
Now my picture here, I don't know if it cuts off or not. It shows all region second team Paul Henry, who was just a rock in the center of that offensive line, centering that football. I don't know if he missed a play. Yeah. Paul Henry was always there. And Tullahoma's line had really good health this year. Caleb Stroop, second team all-region. Caleb Key back in the back of that defense. Had that key interception that saved the
Marshall County at their place game. The first time, yes.
And of course, he sort of had a knack for that. He did
sure
that last year too.
Yes.
And then Peyton Howard, who, you look at that linebacker core, and Peyton Howard was kind of the unsung hero there. He was. He just made tackle after tackle.
He finished strong. I thought he played really good in the playoffs. Played good in that against Marshall County. Really good in that game at home in that big win. Look, Tullahoma swept Marshall County. They beat their rivals. They beat Lincoln County, Franklin County, Coffee County. You go 10-3. It don't get no better than that, man. Let's cash in and take that next season.
So a great season for the yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Great season for the Tullahoma Wildcats. Congratulations to all the players and coaches and
the band and the cheerleaders, just the whole organization.
You're gonna name them all.
Let's name them all, man.
All region band, all region cheerleaders, Tullahoma.
There you go.
High School, and we look forward to the banquet in the upcoming weeks. We'll break. Come back. Talk some college football, Tennessee basketball, NFL. NFL had maybe its greatest weekend ever. I mean, it was just unbelievable. Driven by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma, live downtown at London's. It's the Shasteen Show, 93.9 The Duck.
Have you heard the news? The Russell Barnett Automotive family has launched its new and improved website. That's russellbarnett.com. With over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles to choose from, then look no further than russellbarnett.com. Online service appointments, customer testimonials, and vehicle history reports, this website has it all. We are the largest Middle Tennessee family-owned dealership with 5 locations to choose from. russellbarnett.com, and why buy anywhere else?
Builder Supply in Tullahoma is your one-stop for all the building materials you need for your next project. Their paint center has a full line of Benjamin Moore paints to brighten any room. Trust the experts, Bubba, Joe, and the gang at Builder Supply, 301 South Atlantic Street, Tullahoma.
Sample Family Restaurant in Estill Springs is the place to go when you're hungry for good country cooking. Open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. and Friday nights, 4 to 7:30, with Friday night trivia starting at 6:15. Breakfast is served all day, every day at Sample Family Restaurant in Estill Springs.
Think there's only one way to earn a college degree? It's time to explore your alternatives at Motlow State Community College. With our diverse degree options, a variety of course formats, and convenient locations, students can customize a college experience to fit any lifestyle, budget, or schedule. There are countless ways to get the education you need. Come explore them with us at Motlow State Community College.
You're watching The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma on LightTube Channel 23 and 93.9 The Duck. Now back to Scott and Ken at London's in downtown Tullahoma.
Welcome back to London's. Nice and warm here on a chilly Monday night. Good crowd here at London's, as there always is on Monday. Ken, let's talk Heisman Trophy, shall we?
Oh, no. Don't do it to me.
I think it's time to go. I think it's time to talk Heisman Trophy. Congratulations to Kyler Murray, quarterback, University of Oklahoma, Heisman Trophy winner for 2018. You know, there have been quite a few Oklahoma quarterbacks who have won the Heisman Trophy in the last 10, 15 years. They've had quite a run. They have a prolific offense at Oklahoma.
Yeah, they do. That? Yeah, well, they say that they've got the best offense in college football. We'll find out on December 29th, just like they said the Michigan Wolverines had the best defense in college football.
They did say that. So how did you feel about the Heisman Trophy? You know, Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback for the University of Alabama, he didn't win the Heisman Trophy. There's this thing that's prevalent across America, and it's a nasty thing that's growing, and it's up to Americans to put a stop to it. And it's called Bama privilege. And Bama privilege says that all things college football must be to Alabama. And as we found out Saturday night, that's just not true.
Well, I think we did. You know, of course, I've listened to Tennessee fans, and I agree with them. Gripe about Peyton Manning not winning the Heisman in 1997 to one Charles Woodson. Okay, in the same way that Peyton got hosed, I think Tua Tagovailoa should have won the Heisman. I don't think it was even close. I think Bama fatigue did set in, and you know, to see that he got left off of 30 ballots, I think is preposterous. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. But then I look at the names of the Heisman voters who did not even have Tua in their top 3. Okay, Bo Jackson. Very disappointed in Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson, one of the greatest two-sport athletes of all time. Baseball with the Kansas City Royals, football with the Oakland Raiders, great running back. And I think you've said on this show that you believe he was the best SEC running back of all time. I think so, along with Herschel Walker. But very, very disappointed in Bo Jackson for leaving Tua out of the top 3 because he's an Auburn homer and he hates Alabama. But not very surprised with the following 3. Baker Mayfield, you are a little punk for not voting for Tua as quarterback, and I'm just gonna call you out at it. Okay, you go and you throw down on Ohio State's 50-yard line and show your rear end last year and show what kind of class that you don't have, and now you pull it again by not putting Tua in the top 3. Okay, so shame on you, Baker Mayfield. But you know what? Alabama's defense is very upset, and they're going to have Tua's back on December 29th, so you're fixing to see what's coming. All right, so that's one of them. The second one is Cam Newton. Okay, Scam Newton. You can go ahead and show up in your press conferences or not show up when you got beat in the Super Bowl and cowered it out and didn't even show up for your press conference. That shows what kind of class you got. But you left Tua off the top 3, so shame on you, Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. I hope you don't make the playoffs, okay? So that's 2 big ones right there. So who else left off Tua Tagovailoa? Herschel Walker. Let's go ahead and get the Georgia clan into this. I know that you haven't beat Alabama since 2007, and you were really butthurt last week in the SEC championship game because Nick Saban is just Kirby Smart's daddy. That's just the way it is. I'm just going to break it down for you, okay? I know y'all were very upset about that, but come on, Herschel. You're a cowboy, man. You got more class than that. Tua, not in the top 3. Give me a break, all right? But there were other guys. I know Notre Dame hates Alabama too, so let's throw Tim Brown into the mix. How about Jameis Winston at Florida State? Jameis, how many times did you get in trouble in college, man? I know you was from Mobile, 50 miles away from Tuscaloosa. Nick Saban recruited you hard. You should have went to Alabama. You'd have won more national championships, and your butt hurt too. So I know that's why you didn't vote for Tua, but that's all right. I think my rant's just about over with. But, yeah, I think Tua got hosed.
Why don't you tell us how you really feel? You could compare this to 1998 if Tua had gotten beaten by a defensive player who returned a couple of punts for touchdowns,
right,
struck the Heisman pose in the end zone. But considering the fact that Tua got beaten out by, like it or not, a great quarterback, a tremendous athlete who had a phenomenal year, you really don't know how Tennessee fans feel.
I know they're upset. They're upset, and they're still talking about it 20 years later. Alabama fans will talk about this for a long time. The good thing for Tua is he's just a sophomore, okay, and I think he handled everything with class and dignity, more so than I probably did on Twitter Saturday night. I blew up and lost my mind, as you probably saw, Scott. But let's just break this down a little bit. Tua had 3 less touchdowns than Kyler Murray in 219 less snaps. Tua also faced 5 top 25 defenses, and Murray had 1. So, look, you swap those guys up. What do you think Tua would do if he played 4 quarters in games, much less played in the Big 12? Kyler Murray had his shot in the SEC. He ran like a scalded dog in his freshman season at Texas A&M. And he had a game against Alabama, but not very good. After 8 games, he lost his starting job to Kyle Allen and transferred to Oklahoma. So things worked out for him. Sometimes them transfers work out, Scott.
I think Tua may have had 75 touchdown passes had he played at Oklahoma this year.
I think so. And really, seriously here, I think that this will motivate Alabama. I kind of said before the game, I talked to somebody, before the vote, I said, whoever loses the Heisman, whoever's team's player loses the Heisman, I think they've got the psychological advantage in this first playoff game. I really do, because I think that the defense is going to, for Alabama, is going to come out and try to prove a point. This will be the best defense that Kyler Murray has faced all year. I know Oklahoma has put up big numbers all season long, but that Oklahoma defense, in their pass defense, I think it's 129th out of 130 teams. So they're going to have the harder matchup, I think.
I think Alabama can beat Oklahoma, and Tua doesn't have to throw one single pass. That's how much more physical Alabama's going to be than Oklahoma.
Yeah, they could probably play Jalen Hurts and just run the ball down the throat and play keep away. And sometimes that's the best way to do it.
And man.
And what about Jalen Hurts?
I mean,
yeah,
great story.
Yeah,
great story.
Yeah, fantastic.
So how much do you think that game hurt Tua? I think it cost him the Heisman.
I did, Scott. Of course, I was down there. And it wasn't all they want to blame Tua. Man, he got hurt the first series, sprained his ankle. I was there. The guy couldn't scramble. May have had one run the entire game. He had several drops in that game. Jerry Jeudy drops a touchdown. Arthur Smith drops a 40-yard pass, 45-yard pass right over the middle. His stats could have been a lot better than they were and had another touchdown. But, and that's what makes me angry is that these the Kirk Herbstreits, David Pollocks, they said he never had a Heisman moment. Well, how about going against number 2 or number 3 LSU in Baton Rouge and Death Valley and putting up a 29-0 spot on the LSU Tigers? Tell me a team that, in Mississippi State, 24-0 over them. Yeah, that was a tough game, but those two defenses, LSU, Mississippi State, far, far better than any team. And Tua didn't lose any games this year. He threw, 2 interceptions his last game against the Georgia Bulldogs. But, folks, guess what? A lot of people think the Georgia Bulldogs got ripped out of the college football playoff, so that's probably a top 4 team right there they face. So Georgia, LSU, Mississippi State, those 3 teams far and above. And I would argue the Auburn Tigers got a really good defense. Their front 7 strong. They're much better than anybody. Those 4 teams than defensively than the Oklahoma Sooners played all year.
And of course, Tua had to lead Alabama over Tennessee. I mean, that was quite the challenge.
It was, yeah, and he had some great passes. The guy's a great player, but he's a better person. He handled it the right way, and look at Dwayne Haskins. And maybe he's the one that's not talked about a lot of this. That guy threw for almost 4,000 yards, and I think he was far behind in the voting than the first 2 guys. And I just don't see how any person that voted put any other player on their ballot besides those 3. And to me, if you had a ballot and you left any of those 3 guys off, revoke your voting privileges. Take it away from them, guys.
Bama privilege.
Bama fatigue.
That's what
he calls it, right Bama there. Privilege. I call it Bama fatigue.
Well, you're looking at it from everybody else's standpoint.
Yes.
Everybody else has Bama fatigue.
You're right.
I'm looking at it from Alabama fans' standpoint. Mm-hmm. Alabama fans feel Bama privilege.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. Yes, indeed.
Don't you think the injury hurt him? I think it cost him the Heisman in that last game. Not poor play, but just getting hurt, going out. Jalen Hurts coming in, leading them to a win. Yeah. I think it cost him the Heisman.
I thought he won. In my mind, he won the Heisman the Auburn game. He clinched an undefeated season at 12-0. He had 6 touchdowns in that game, 5 passing, 1 running. The one run he had against LSU with the bum knee, I thought was his Heisman moment. He had like a 40-yard touchdown that really broke the back of the LSU Tigers in Baton Rouge. To me, that was his Heisman moment. I thought he clinched at Auburn in the Auburn game, but only 10% of the votes come in, Scott, before the conference championship games, and it's hard to believe that and I didn't think he played bad. I was there. He had some drop passes in that game. He was off a little bit, wasn't on his A game, but the guy was injured. He had to leave the game in the 3rd quarter. I just believe he got gypped. I'll say it. I think he got gypped, and I'll say it for the next 20 years.
At KK Love of Game, LUVOFGAME. Follow Ken on Twitter. It is quite interesting. I'm at Scott Shasteen, but I'm not near as interesting as Ken Keller is on Twitter. We'll come back and touch on lots of other things here on this Monday night. Driven by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma, live at London's. It's the Shasteen Show on 93.9 The Duck.
Have you heard the news? The Russell Barnett Automotive family has launched its new and improved website. That's russellbarnett.com. With over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles to choose from, then look no further than russellbarnett.com. Online service appointments, customer testimonials, and vehicle history reports, this website has it all. We are the largest Middle Tennessee family-owned dealership with 5 locations to choose from. russellbarnett.com, and why buy anywhere else?
Do you need more? More golf, hunting, or camping? More basketball, soccer, and baseball? Do you need more football? Do you just need more sports? LightTube's digital sports tier has more sports. Offering 12 additional sports channels for only $3 additional a month? What are you waiting on? Call 455-4515 and get more today.
Get the gig. Get the world's fastest internet with LightTube. That's 1 gig down, 1 gig up internet speeds for only $89.95 per month. Call LightTube today to upgrade and get the gig. Call us at 455-4515 to learn more. LightTube. Local people, local service.
You're watching The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma on LightTube Channel 23 and 93.9 The Duck. Now back to Scott and Ken at London's in downtown Tullahoma.
Welcome back to London, 6:30 on a Monday night, along with Ken Keller. I'm Scott Shasteen, Smash behind the camera, and we are bringing you The Shasteen Show here.
Unfiltered tonight.
Unfiltered. After that, I mean, I just got nothing.
Absolutely unfiltered, man.
That was awesome. That was awesome. So let's continue with college football a little bit. We've got SEC teams and bowl games coming up and stuff, and one never knows what's going to happen from week to week. So
let's talk about them bowl
we
games.
Talk a little bit about some SEC bowl games and the college football playoff, and that's
So I'm going to shoot some darts at you here, since you were our fine host was gone last week, out on special assignment. So Scott, do you think the College Football Playoff Committee, I want your opinion on this, did they get the 4 best teams? Talk best 4 versus most deserving. Should Georgia have gotten in? Do you think the committee got it right? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think this was the toughest year. I do, because of the Notre Dame factor. Because Notre Dame was undefeated, no matter what. They were getting in. So that was the spot that a Georgia might have gotten had Notre Dame had its usual 2 losses and been number 11 or something. That was the spot. But
so you're saying Notre Dame definitely was the fly in the ointment.
It was Notre Dame.
Yeah.
The leprechaun was the fly in the ointment. But honestly, to me, I don't think Georgia should have gotten in. Okay, I believe that a one-loss conference champion, be it Oklahoma or Ohio State, should have gotten in over Georgia, a 2-loss non-conference champion. I don't care how good the SEC is. I don't care how good to the eye test that Georgia looked against Alabama, and they looked great. To me, it's simply a fact that the games have got to count for something. Conference championships have got to count for something. It's not all about the SEC, even though sometimes we'd like to make it all about the SEC. This is about the whole country. And, it's the nature of media. They want more of the country involved here. They want more eyes on TVs. They want more of this. They want more of that. So I believe that. And I really didn't care Oklahoma, Ohio State. I don't know one. I think Ohio State's probably better than Oklahoma and will probably beat them head-to-head. But I could see how Oklahoma could get in. I mean, you're talking the absolute blue bloods of college football.
Oh, I think you're spot on, and I agree with everything that you said there, Scott. And I made the point last week that I think there still is some politics involved. I do think the committee got it right, but the fact that the Oklahoma Sooner athletic director, as I brought out on the show last week, is one of the 13 guys on the committee, I think that certainly helped Oklahoma. But I think the committee also made a point, and I think it's this. If you lose big, it's going to count against you. Now, they say they don't count margin of victory against margin of loss or margin of victory, okay? But Georgia, that 20-point loss in Baton Rouge, 36-16, and the Ohio State Buckeyes at Purdue losing 49-20. If you really look at it, although those teams both went to their conference championship games, Ohio State winning theirs, Georgia losing to the number one team in the nation, I think those losses really were significant, and I think they were weighed heavily by that committee.
And look,
and the margin of loss
on paper, again, Georgia's losses, LSU in Baton Rouge on a Saturday night. Ohio State, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, y'all are all welcome to go to Baton Rouge on a Saturday night. Let's see how you do.
Tough.
And then to the best team in college football by a few points. Their losses were much better than Ohio State's loss to Purdue and Oklahoma's loss to Texas, even though Oklahoma redeemed that. To their credit, they redeemed that. But, again, it's just that two-loss.
Well, and the bottom line is
if
this.
If Georgia doesn't lose to LSU, I think Georgia's in.
Yeah, I think so, too. If they came in that SEC championship, 2 undefeateds, and played that game, I think
just
both
like
would have got in. You're right. You're exactly right. But, if you look at it, Georgia had their chance. They outplayed Alabama for 3 quarters, but then they had 6 straight times the offense failed to convert any points against the Alabama defense, and then the whimsical call, the crazy call that bewildered everybody, the fake punt at the 3-minute mark from the 50-yard line on a 4th and 11, Scott. That's going to go down in infamy there in Georgia lore, no doubt.
There's a game in your history called Punt Bama Punt, and now there's a game in Georgia's history that forever will be Fake Kirby Fake.
That's it.
Inexplicable, just inexplicable. It's like he said, we're too close. We're too close. We're going to win this game. We got to give it away.
Yep.
And gave it away.
And that's the thing. Kirby in his second year has done wonders with Georgia. They stole the number 1 recruit out of the state of Alabama today, center Clay Webb, in a heated recruiting battle against Alabama. That's the second straight year that the state of Alabama's top player has left. And Nick Saban's not closed the deal on Justin Ross to Clemson, and now Georgia with Clay Webb. Those 2 teams are the main rivals to Alabama right now, and they are also just about on even keel with Alabama. Those 2 teams are dangerous football teams right now.
So let's touch on these bowl games involving SEC teams. I honestly have not even looked through the bowl lineup, so
all right, my friend, let's go through these. Let's take me away, Calgon, and let's go through the 11 teams that are going bowling. Let's start off with the Texas Bowl.
So who's not going? Arkansas, Tennessee.
You got 2 of the 3.
Ole Miss,
one's on probation. Bingo. And so all the other teams, and look, a couple teams not normal. Kentucky trying to get to 10 wins this year. I mean, that's really amazing. They've got a tough matchup. So let's start with the Kentucky Wildcats. This is going to be an intriguing football game here. The Kentucky Wildcats against the Penn State Nittany Lions. I think that's going to be tough.
Well, I'll actually get to feel good about cheering for Kentucky because of my disdain for James Franklin and his Penn State Nittany Lions.
Yes.
What bowl is that?
That is the Florida Citrus Bowl. So that game will be in Florida.
You can't spell Kentucky without UT.
You didn't just do that.
Has nothing to do with anything. But, I don't know. Penn State's good, but when SEC teams go up against Big Ten teams in bowl games, SEC teams usually win. So I think Kentucky wins that game.
Well, Joe Paterno's not coaching Penn State any longer, and really, the only thing that bothers me about this one is Kentucky can't pass the ball too well. You got a good, Trace McSorley there for Penn State. So it's going to be Benny Snell against Trace McSorley. I'm rooting for the SEC there, so it should be a good contest. Gator Bowl, that's also played in where's that, Jacksonville?
Jacksonville.
This is going to be a good game. The Texas A&M Aggies against North Carolina State Wolfpack. Don't look now, folks, but Jimbo Fisher and the Texas A&M Aggies, number 2 in recruiting right now. Amazing job by Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah, they're coming.
They're coming.
North Carolina State's had a good little run here, but no.
Yeah,
Nah.
I don't
Texas
think
A&M,
so either.
They are hot.
Yeah, they're riding the coattails of what, a 74-72 6 or 7 overtime.
They're
7
still
overtime
scoring.
victory. They're still scoring, man. So okay, that the Vanderbilt Commodores against the Baylor Bears. Jalen Hurd and the Baylor Bears against Vanderbilt. That game in Texas. So Baylor's got a home field advantage in this game, Scott.
Baylor.
Yeah.
Go Bears.
Both teams with some gold in their uniforms, but the gold, I think, is going to be Baylor with that home field advantage. I think Baylor as well. Liberty Bowl, the Missouri Tigers, and fresh off, they're going to have a new quarterback coming in. They won the Big Kelly Bryant sweepstakes, Scott, on the quarterback grad transfer. So he spurns the Auburn Tigers. He's going to come play for Derek Dooley and the Missouri Tigers. They play the Oklahoma State Cowboys. We haven't talked about that Tennessee offensive coordinator search, but I'm hearing that a certain offensive coordinator with the Cowboys of Oklahoma State may be leading in that search.
I'm 40 years old. Oh, that's the head coach. Oklahoma State can score a lot of points, but what they can't do is tackle.
Yeah.
And Missouri's defense is better than it gets credit for. It's not the Missouri defense of the last couple of years. They're really pretty good. I think Missouri comes out and wins that ball game as long as Drew Lock plays.
Yeah, Missouri, they do play a physical brand of football, and they have a good running game as well. They show that balance against Tennessee. They played well against Alabama. I was impressed with their defense. So this is another one of those SEC Big 12 matchups, several on the bowl season. I'd like to see Missouri Tigers beat the Cowboys there. And Mike, I don't even know how to pronounce it, Yurchik is allegedly the leading contender. He says nothing's going on between him and UT, so we'll see how that offensive coordinator search for the Tennessee Vols comes out. There are reports that Tennessee has their man. They're just waiting to announce it, so I don't know what they're waiting on. Stay tuned on that. Maybe by next Monday night show, we'll have a new offensive coordinator at the University of Tennessee.
So you don't think Browse is the answer for the Vols?
I don't know. I think that he's going to have to go through some heavy vetting. I know Freeze, interviewed for the job, but I don't think he was the right fit. They want somebody that's going to be there for a few years. I think that Mr. Kendall Browse would be a fabulous pickup for Tennessee.
He certainly has led offenses that score a lot of points.
Absolutely. Yeah, they can ring it up.
All right, a couple more bowls here, and then we'll break.
All right, let's go Belk Bowl. Who cares about this one? The South Carolina Gamecocks.
The people in
against
Charlotte do. There will be at least 10,000.
Yeah, they will. It'll be a cheap ticket. You can get that for about $8. The Virginia Cavaliers against the South Carolina Gamecocks. This is one SEC team I'm going to root against. I'm for the Cavaliers in this game.
I wouldn't root for Muschamp unless he was playing Michigan.
Yeah, I'm with you, man.
So, yeah, go Cavs.
Let's catch one more. Now, I think this is going to be potential to be a great bowl game. It's unfortunate that Central Florida's quarterback got hurt. They put a beat down on Auburn last year in the bowl game. They're undefeated at 12-0 or 13-0. I guess they won their conference championship game.
Had a great comeback against Memphis.
Yeah, they're going to play the LSU Tigers, that vaunted defense.
Oh, God. That's going to be brutal.
Yeah.
UCF's winning streak is over now. If UCF, without their starting quarterback, beats LSU, where is that?
Game.
In Charlotte, the Belk Bowl?
That one is in the Fiesta Bowl.
The Fiesta Bowl. That's a biggie. That's
in Tempe.
New Year's 6 or whatever they call it. Yeah, I'll have to take LSU right there.
I think you're right. I like LSU and Ed Orgeron. If he loses that game, he ought to be ashamed of himself.
All right, we'll come back, talk a little Titans, talk a little Preds, talk a little Lakers, a little pro sports. on the other side. Driven by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma. We are live at London's. It's the Shasteen Show on 93.9 The Duck.
Trucks, trucks, and more trucks. Keith Barnett here with the Russell Barnett Automotive family, and we have your next truck. From the Ford F-Series, the Ram, Chevrolet, or the GMC, then look no further than the Russell Barnett family. With over 350 new and pre-owned trucks to choose from, now is the time to buy. Stop by one of our 5 locations. That's Russell Barnett Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Chevrolet GMC, Ford of Winchester, and Russell Barnett Ford and Kia of Tullahoma, or visit us on the web at russellbarnett.com. Why buy anywhere else?
I'm working with a home buyer from Louisiana, and he asked me what type of internet access we have in Tullahoma. So I told him all about LightTube, and he said, "You're kidding me. There's fiber optics available in Tullahoma?" And I said, "Not only that, but it's great service, most reliable. You get to work with people in Tullahoma, and it's awesome." And he said, "People need to know in Tullahoma how lucky they are."
Think there's only one way to earn a college degree? It's time to explore your alternatives at Motlow State Community College. With our diverse degree options, a variety of course formats, and convenient locations, students can customize a college experience to fit any lifestyle, budget, or schedule. There are countless ways to get the education you need. Come explore them with us at Motlow State Community College.
You're watching The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma on LightTube Channel 23 and 93.9 The Duck. Now back to Scott and Ken at London's in downtown Tullahoma.
6:46 on this Monday. We are at London's, and you should be too, as the steaks are excellent. Happy hour, all that going on tonight at London's. And Monday Night Football, we got the Vikings and the Seahawks coming up here in just a few minutes. Lots of TVs, big screens. Great place to watch a game here at London's, downtown Tullahoma. Ken, we don't talk a lot of pro football extensively on this show, but we're sort of at that time of year where it starts getting pretty good. The races are coming down to the wire, and college football, there won't be much there for a couple of weeks. So let's talk a little bit about the Titans. The Jekyll and Hyde Titans, for some reason lately, they just really rise to the occasion against Jacksonville. Play really well. And Derrick Henry teased everybody with what he can be as an NFL running back. If the Titans could only play Jacksonville every week, Derrick Henry would be the NFL MVP. But what a game by the former Alabama Heisman Trophy winner.
It was good to see. He struggled this year. Whether, you say the line didn't block for him, he just can't get going out of the backfield, limited touches, less than 12 carries a game. But, the Titans have only lost one game to where Derrick Henry's carried the ball 15 times, and it was against the Patriots in the playoffs. And so when the big man gets going, he showed what he could do Monday night. 238 yards, set a franchise record, 4 touchdowns, and an electrifying powerful 99-yard run, ties Tony Dorsett of the Dallas Cowboys. What was cool about that? I was watching Monday Night Football. I remember the game. I watched Tony Dorsett take that ball 99 yards against Minnesota.
I remember it well.
Joe Buck called that game, and I think his son, Jack Buck, called that game. Joe Buck got to call this game, so that was pretty cool. But whereas Dorsett, nobody hardly touched him. Derrick Henry, man, was slinging Miles Jack around and A.J. Bowie and some of these, these vaunted Jaguar defense. And Mike Keith, the Titans radio guy, he reflected on it, and I heard him say that he thought it was one of the top 5 football plays that he's ever seen. And for Mike Keith to say that, that's high endorsement of that play right there.
Yeah, you've seen the NFL's greatest runs. NFL films used to be on a lot. And you've seen those runs by Walter Payton and Bo Jackson and Earl Campbell and Red Grange, and all those guys.
Barry Sims.
Jim Brown. But Derrick Henry's run will always be part of that montage.
Well, he had those 3 stiff arms, but they also I don't know how they figure out how fast a guy's running, but they had him like the fastest time running of a sprint speed like 21.24 miles an hour, something crazy by the NFL metrics they put on him. So when you get a guy that's 6'3" and 247 pounds that can stiff arm you like that, throw a punch on you like that, and just sling linebackers around that are all pro type linebackers and defensive backs, and then turn the jets on when he gets the shoulder squared up. Titans just need to feed him the ball more, and I think going down the stretch these last 3 games, the Titans head coach has said, Mike Vrabel, they're going to give him the ball more.
I think that would be pretty wise. So in the same weekend that we see tied for the longest run in NFL history, we see the longest game-winning last play of the game in NFL history. Now, that's a long time now. That's 70 years or so. The Miami Dolphins with a, Stanford Cal bands on the field kind of play with a bunch of laterals and all that. They beat – it's not that it wasn't just against anybody. Yeah. It was against the Patriots. To beat the Patriots, that was awesome.
Well, and we've seen teams try that. It's kind of like a little of they throw the ball down the field, they start latering the ball. A lot of times it'll just hit the ground harmlessly and the game will be over. But you know what? Kenyon Drake was the last guy to touch the ball, and then he just started weaving in and out. The Patriots didn't have an answer inside that last 20 or 30 yards, and Bill Belichick loses a stunner there. The Patriots really fall back. I think they're 9-4 now. The Chiefs 11-2. So you look like the Kansas City Chiefs going to get home field advantage in that AFC.
And the Chiefs with just a phenomenal win over the Baltimore Ravens. Pat Mahomes, man, that dude just keeps. He's unbelievable. I think he's headed for the MVP year.
No doubt about it. And it's you got him on your fantasy football team this year, and the guy I play in the league with, man, he's got Todd Gurley and Patrick Mahomes. So it's really hard to beat that guy. He's running away with our fantasy football division. But next year, guys, draft Patrick Mahomes with your first pick. He's the man.
I'll tell you who's becoming the man. Is your boy Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns. The Browns get another win yesterday, come from behind to beat the Carolina Panthers and your boy Scam Newton. So I know you was watching that one.
I enjoy that. So and they got 2 really good rookies. They got Baker Mayfield, but don't overlook Nick Chubb. I picked him up in my fantasy football league. In the last 5 weeks, the guy's been as good as anybody. He had a 90-yard run about 3 weeks ago, and he's scoring touchdowns. So now they're showing run pass balance, and I think Cleveland is finally, with those first-round picks, Garrett Miles, and I think that's his name.
Miles Garrett.
Miles Garrett, and Baker Mayfield. Finally, it looks like hopefully they hit on a quarterback, for a change, and now with Nick Chubb having a nice year as well.
So the Colts beat the Texans in the Texans' 9-game winning streak, and now the Colts and the Titans both at 7-6. It just looks like we are headed for the last game of the year. It's going to decide who's in and who's not.
I hope it comes down to that. Of course, the Titans, they got 2 NFC East opponents they need to take care of. Saquon Barkley and the New York Giants just boat raced the Washington Redskins at RFK yesterday. Barkley having a great game. The big quarterback, the wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. did not play for the Giants, but I think he's going to be back. The good thing is, looks like the Giants are a lot better than the Redskins right now. They've lost their top 2 quarterbacks, Colt McCoy and Alex Smith. And so what you got now is you get to play the Giants at home, then you go to Washington. And so I think is it switched? Okay, so they got to go to New York and play the Giants. At the Meadowlands. That could be tough.
Giants are coming on. They're playing much better.
Yeah. Eli Manning had a good game, without his top target. And Barkley, man, I think he's got to be probably going to be between him and Mayfield for Rookie of the Year, I think.
In overtime, your Dallas Cowboys knock off the Philadelphia Eagles, and Dallas now in great position to put the NFC East away.
Well, they are. Since acquiring Amari Cooper, they've won 5 straight.
Yeah, let's just stop on that for just a second, because we heard people say that was just foolish to give up that first-round pick for Amari Cooper. You just don't do that for a receiver. And we both just felt like, you know what?
Yeah.
You do.
Well, if we go back 5 weeks on this show, you said it. You said it was a great trade. The Cowboys made a great deal right there. And, I think Jerry Jones is quite happy with it. Dak Prescott getting a breakaway target there. And the guy just makes big plays. And the Oakland Raiders just didn't throw him the football, man. So, I mean, that's a good change for him. And I'm glad that he's a Dallas Cowboy.
The Steelers stumbled against the Raiders.
I love it.
That to me, that's about the strangest score of the day.
Yeah, that's 3 straight losses for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So
is
they're
it
going
time
backwards.
for Josh Dobbs to replace Ben Roethlisberger, quarterback?
It might be.
And then to me, and I didn't watch a whole lot of football, but I watched last night, and I really enjoyed the Chicago Bears defense. Absolutely.
Yes.
Shutting down the Los Angeles Rams. And Al Michaels said it for a second. He said shades of 85, and it was, man. They look awesome.
It's good to see the Bears, playing good physical brand of football. And the L.A. Rams, they're a West Coast team. They're not acclimated to that cold weather. They're fighting out the New Orleans Saints for home field advantage in the NFC. But the commentator said last night, it might have been Michaels or the color guy that was calling. Commentator said, look, I was wondering what would happen to the Rams when a good run defense stopped Todd Gurley. And we found it out last night because the L.A. Ram quarterback, I think, had about 4 interceptions, and he did not play well at all.
And then tonight, Minnesota and Seattle out on the West Coast. Seattle giving 3 to the Vikings.
Seattle giving 3, and I think, is it right that does the Titans need for one of those teams to lose? Do they need to leave?
Well, they're both in
they're
the
both
NFC,
in the NFC.
so
Okay.
Nah.
So it's inconsequential. So I don't know. I'm not really a Pete Carroll fan. I guess I'll root for the Purple People Eaters, Minnesota.
Oh, you gotta love Alan Page.
Oh yeah,
and all those guys.
Is it
Chuck
Alan
Foreman.
Page, Marshall? Was on that defensive line.
The Purple People
Alan
Eaters.
Page.
Defensive lines had cool names back then. The Fearsome Foursome of the Rams, Merlin Olsen, Deacon Jones.
Yeah.
The Purple People, whatever happened.
The Steel Curtain, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Dallas Cowboys, Doomsday defense, Doomsday.
Whatever, I don't think our media people are creative.
Yeah. Well, let's do it. If they're not going to do it, we're media personalities. Let's generate some names. I like the Denver Broncos. They used to be the old. They called the Orange Crush. I thought that was pretty cool too.
That was pretty good.
Carl Mecklenburg, Lyle Alzado, some of those guys, throwback guys.
So the Predators, they've not exactly been setting the world on fire here lately. It's going exactly as planned.
Scripted.
Ken. Exactly as planned. They start out like fire, number 1 team. But remember, they're not going to finish as the number 1 team. They're not going to win the President's Cup this year. So they've got to go through some ups and downs.
Yeah.
They'll finish 2nd or 3rd. And then win the Stanley Cup. It's going perfectly. You got to get people hurt so they can get rest.
Go through some adversity, Scott. Yeah. It's called adversity. Yeah. And it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
Yeah. That's
so
exactly
hopefully
right.
the Titans, the Preds are going to finish this thing off this time.
Hopefully the Preds are going to finish this thing off this time. But let's
get your prediction on the Titans and the Giants next week here. I don't know what the spread is on that game. I would say maybe the Titans will be favored by a field goal or something. I think it'd be closely contested. If I was a bookie, I would put the Titans at 3-point favorites going on the road against Saquon Barkley, Eli Manning, Odell Beckham Jr. Does Mariota and a revitalized Derrick Henry get the job done this week on the road?
I don't like their chances. But then I picked the Titans to be 3-13. So what do I know?
You did.
Smash says yes, absolutely. The Titans are going to dominate the Giants. So I think it comes to you.
I think it's going to be a defensive battle. I'm going to pick the Titans by about a field goal. Yeah.
Have you noticed that the Los Angeles Lakers are now just a game and a half behind the Warriors in the Pacific Division?
How
of the
about
NBA.
that?
You probably haven't.
I have not
really been keeping up with that. But they are. But you know who's between the Warriors and the Lakers?
Rockets?
The Clippers.
The Clippers.
Who traded away Blake Griffith and all those guys. But you know who's in first place in that always popular Southwest Division of the NBA?
I do not.
The Memphis Grizzlies.
Mark Gasol.
Mark Gasol,
There
Mike
he is.
Conley, and the Memphis Grizzlies in first place. We're going to watch the Grizz as they head down the home stretch here because that's pretty exciting.
So who does Vols basketball got next? They're number 3. Can they get to number 1 here?
Memphis.
Maybe.
Tennessee plays Memphis one night this week.
And again, Penny Hardaway? Oh.
Time to polish the floor.
Where's that game at?
You know, it's probably at home, but I don't know for sure.
Oh, that's going to be a good game right there.
It's going to be a fun season watching the Vols play ball. That's going to do it for this edition of the Shasteen Show here. Come on down to London's and have yourself a steak. We'll be back next week with our last show of 2018. For the guys back at the studio and for Smash and for Ken Keller, I'm Scott Shasteen. Be good to each other.
The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma and brought to you by Southern Community Bank, Rogers Insurance Group, and Mission Collision, is a presentation of Bowman Media Company and 93.9 The Duck. The show is taped before a live audience at London's in downtown Tullahoma, Monday nights at 6 p.m. Come join us for cold beer and Tullahoma's best burgers. Thanks for watching The Shasteen Show on LightTube Channel 23.